Hi, my name's David, and I'm the co-founder of WeCanAccess. Welcome to the channel. You're going to meet the co-founder, who's Emma. Emma, say hi up here. And then you're going to meet the inspiration behind the channel, which is Addy, who's over here. Addy, say hi. The whole idea is really to do an introduction into why we set it up and what's the purpose, our struggles, about being believed, about our identity, about employment issues, education issues, balancing the books, money, also physical accessibility, mental accessibility, social and emotional. And really the whole purpose behind the WeCanAccess, the company and the YouTube, is we struggled with it. And the reason why we struggled with it and the inspiration was Addy, our daughter, the person that you saw in the picture. And our journey and what we've learned and what we're learning and what we've learned from others about accessibility on a personal level, on a professional level. And we're going to explore this. Really, the story actually comes with our being believed. And actually, we face this ourselves. So the belief element. It was around about, I'd say, this time in 2012 that we as a family weren't believed that something was wrong with our daughter. And we, Emma and I, were convinced that something was wrong with Addy, but we couldn't pin it down. We didn't know what it was. Emma was about to go back to work. She had, yeah, it must have been, no, in a couple of months' time. She was about to go to work full time. She had the job of her dreams after taking time off from maternity leave and having had the kids. And it was brilliant. Life was going to be absolutely amazing, except there was something wrong with our daughter, Addy, who was 2. And we were going to the doctor and we were getting bounced around until the fateful day sometime in, I think it was June, must have been, oh yeah, it was late June, where we knew something was wrong. We'd seen paediatricians before, and we insisted, again, thanks to my sister, on seeing a paediatrician. We had an appointment. We went in for a CT scan, and it was under general anaesthetic. And Addy didn't wake up from it. Addy did not wake up from that. And we got told, I think it was about half an hour later or something, I can't remember, that there was something wrong with Addy. And they didn't know what it was. There was a mass behind her head. And they were referring her to a children's hospital. That was it. And then Addy got whipped off, literally blue lighted emergency appointment to a teaching hospital. We found out a week later, was it a week and a half, I think, can't remember, I've lost track, that she had cancer. And so the belief element, even though Emma and I are educated, even though we know doctors, even though we knew how to communicate with people, we still weren't believed. And so that's where our journey, where it really hit us about the belief element, about accessibility. We had access to knowledge, we had access to people, we had access to things, but we didn't have access. And it was overwhelming. Then it was our identity. So one moment we're going in as parents, next moment, more or less the next moment or within a few hours, we've got a child who's very, very ill. The family identity changes completely. And over, well, since, I don't know, since 2012, our identity has changed from a cancer family to a special needs family to all sorts of different things. And I mean, I don't know, was it? I'm 53 now. I've grown older, grayer, balder. Addy's changed. She went from a little girl to a teenager. Her identity has changed. because of the access issues and her disabilities that she's got. Her identity has changed multiple times. Emma's identity has changed from being a professional to being a carer to being a mum, to being a wife, multiple identities. And then you've got the employment. One moment I was a special needs teacher when Addie got diagnosed. And then it was a case of, well, what do I do? Emma was literally about to go back to work. So the employment changes. I mean, I was a special needs teacher. Thankfully, I went off, I could go off sick. And then I did a bit of supply work and I accidentally became a university lecturer. It was literally probably, I don't know, about a year and a half later, I've lost track of time, when somebody at a meeting went after her daddy had completed a treatment, somebody had said, I knew things about education because I was a special needs teacher. Perhaps I should look for lecturing jobs. Looked for one came up, and I applied to become a university lecturer in special needs, and I became one. And I'd never imagined or thought that I'd become a university lecturer. But then it's a case of, well, how can we change things? So for me, it was a case of, well, I thought, well, let's, with Emma a few years later, after Addie had gone through the treatment, let's try and change things. So that's why we set up WeCanAccess. But Emma's employment completely changed. So it's a roller coaster of what do you do, and then thinking about for Addie's future. We had these aspirations. Addie, as you might have seen from a video, she's got different needs, and our aspirations for her have changed. Her aspirations for herself have changed. So what jobs is she going to do? What jobs can she do? Then we look at the education. To be honest with it, the education system has not been fit for purpose for Addie. She's gone through at least 3 schools. They weren't suitable. They didn't cater for her needs. There were access issues one after another, and we've had to fight all the time. We've had to fight again, even though we're educated, even though I was a special needs teacher, even though I'm a university lecturer in special needs. The system, we've had to fight the system, including getting lawyers involved. So it's with accessibility. It's as you know what the educational prospects for people with access issues. How do you communicate with people? Then it's balancing the books. One moment, literally one moment before Addie got identified with a mass behind her head, we were absolutely fine. And fortunately, we are fine. We're in England. We were okay. But to be honest with it, when Addie was going through treatment and towards the end of it, we were considering selling our house and downgrading. So balancing the books, and unfortunately, charities kicked in. We're in England. There are benefits that we have, but we've had to look. We've certainly had to be careful with our money. And the bottom line is, and this is the bottom line that I tell everybody, so far since Addie got diagnosed with a brain tumor, I reckon we have cost, or it's cost the system somewhere in the region of, must be over £700,000 easily, partly because of Emma's loss of earnings, and that's going to impact her pension. And then you've got also the cost of the medication for Addie and all of her treatment. Again, I'm exceptionally grateful that we're in England and we have the National Health Service, because if we would have had to pay for this, we would be bankrupt. We really, really would. I mean, I've looked at as part of the things that I've looked at in terms of research. If we were in the United States, I don't know what health treatment we would have had access to, where we would have got the money for it. Then we've got the physical accessibility. So it's Um, there are mobility issues. There's balance issues. There's how can we physically access places with somebody who's got disabilities, who's got mobility issues, who's got balance issues. That's been a challenge as well, to be honest about it. Who suffers from fatigue, and that's all of us suffer from fatigue. Then mentally, it's accessing, acknowledging the fact that I certainly struggle. It's, I mean, I think this is probably be the first time that I'd say actually I struggle mentally with what's going on. And the reason my way of managing this is by doing WeCanAccess. That really helps. It's a way of coping, managing, surviving. And again, in some ways it links to the identity of mentally who you are, what's your capability, where do you fit in, who can you speak to socially. One moment you have friends, and then the next moment I don't know if some of you'll understand this expression, it's Billy no mates. You have no friends, or friends change. People go, oh, we don't want to touch you. Or they don't say that, but it's like people drift away, and I even heard under people's breath that they said, oh, if we hang around them, we might get ill. And this is in England, where there isn't as much social stigma, and there is the education around cancer. But people might not just don't want to be. I know people who didn't want to be around us because you could call it bad karma, bad vibes. People were just afraid of the cancer. What was going on? It was maybe the discussions were too heavy. But also, my father had something called multiple system atrophy, and I saw how my parents' social group changed because people couldn't handle being around somebody who was ill in that family, but other people came in to replace them. And then the emotional aspect, it's draining. It's absolutely draining. It's caring 24/7. So really, the reason behind WeCanAccess is to really to explore our struggles, and I mean ours. This is everybody's struggles, and to try and make the world a better place. And we don't have the solutions, but what we need to do, what we know how to do, is ask the questions. We want to explore. The channel is all about exploring accessibility, the impact it has on us, and I'm talking about us globally as a family. It's about us. WeCanAccess, and how we, and that's my family, our friends, the people that we know, and you guys can make practical changes in our lives to the things to make things more accessible. It could be, for instance, in this video, I'm talking too quickly. So I'd love to know, I'd love to get feedback from you guys if you can understand my accent, if I'm speaking too quickly. I know I stuttered part of the way through this. If you found me stuttering, a bit of a barrier to you understanding, and how we as a community can figure out solutions and ways, practically speaking, in our day-to-day lives, business, personal, professional, whatever we do, leisure, in making things more accessible for everybody to improve the quality of life. The aim is to really to change things and improve business practices, improve what we do personally, and again, professionally. Sorry to repeat this, but that's where my memory comes in. WeCanAccess isn't about just surviving day to day, moment to moment, second to second. Should have said that the other way around. It's about thriving. It's about celebrating life and actually moving forwards and taking active steps as a community to move together. So I say WeCanAccess, the driving force really behind WeCanAccess, the inspiration or the motivation was Addie and her journey and her battle with cancer, and the inspiration that we have got from Addie not only has she survived the cancer, but let's thrive. Let's thrive in life. And that's really what WeCanAccess is about. That's what this channel is about. It's about exploring things and finding solutions. I'd really, really appreciate it from you if you could like, subscribe, make comments on things that you'd like to discuss in future. What we're planning on doing is we're planning on doing longer videos to explore specific topics and areas. And also we're planning on doing shorter videos looking at how, practically speaking, things, objects, and things that are in our environment can be made more accessible, and basically coming up with and finding out and just talking them through and figuring out possible solutions, what the barriers might be. So the channel is about accessibility. It's about celebrating accessibility and exploring the challenges and seeing how we can overcome them. Honestly, thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in future videos, and do add comments. Take care.